Hi, I'm Angie Austin with Oil and Gas 360. We're here at the 2015 Entercom Oil and Gas Conference in Denver, and we're joined with the president of Preng and Associates, David Preng. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Angie. How are you?
I am well, thank you. So you are the first person in this particular business that I've spoken with this morning. So tell us a little bit about what you do at Preng and Associates, because you're different than the CEOs I've been interviewing who run oil companies.
Well, Preng and Associates is an executive search firm. We work just in the energy area. And what we do is perform a process to bring in talent that's needed by companies.
Now, you talked about 75% of your work in oil and gas. Obviously, there's been a downturn, and there's a perception that there isn't a lot of hiring going on, and you say that's not the case.
Well, if you look at it back in November, when OPEC decided to keep up production and everything, we had probably about a 3 or 4 month halt as companies tried to figure out what's going on. But by the end of the first quarter, as prices got back up near 60, you started to see probably 2 or 3 phenomenon. One, you had private equity that's looking and wanting to come into the market. There's approximately $80 billion of unlevered capital, and currently we have 3 groups asking us to put together teams and or bring in executive advisors to help them evaluate opportunities. One of the groups is looking for oil field equipment and service team. The other 2 are different size companies that are looking for teams, one that can command, let's say, at least $500 million in an equity infusion, the other one probably in the 1 to 150. So that's one side of it, where private equity is still looking, waiting for probably the third quarter redeterminations and the assets that'll become available. The other side is that companies today have to look at and say, do we have the right people to manage in today's environment? And we're doing some strategic replacements in that area. And there are a couple of them where the incumbents don't know that the replacements are going on right now. So,
which is always interesting.
It is, and because of the confidentiality you have to do. There are some probably the third one is there are some retirements going on. And the fourth phenomenon going on, I happen to be president of the National Association of Corporate Directors chapter in Houston. And because of that, our board practice has picked up quite a bit. And we right now have 6 ongoing board searches. So in addition to the management, some boards are looking at, do we have the right people on the board to help with the strategy and guiding the CEO through our current downturn?
All right, obviously you're very well connected in that world. And so you know a lot of the movers and shakers and maybe have your eye on a couple of people that might be good for a position that you may know is coming up. Let's talk about how important your reputation, this is a word of mouth business. You've been able to do this, sustain your business and be well respected. How do you operate? What is the basis of what you do when someone says, what's your business all about?
Well, you're right, our business is relationships, because when people ask me, David, you've been around 35 years, how do you find your candidates? And there's 3 ways. One, we look at past work that we've done, and over our 35 years, we've done about 3,300 engagements for just under 700 companies in 63 countries. Wow. And so that's given us a good, let's say, foundation of people that we've talked to.
And reputation.
But the other thing is, and that we bring to the table that I'm very proud of, is that we've created a network that I think is second to none. When we get an assignment, we look at who we've talked to in the past. We have a research team that can go out and map out companies that we want. But a big thing, like I just had a conversation with a gentleman here, I asked him about an opportunity that I'm working on to create an A&D shop for an investment bank. And he gave me 4 names. 3 of them I'd already contacted. One of them is a new name, which obviously I wrote down. But what happened then, I asked him about a candidate that I had that he knew, and he was able to give me an off the record, not going any farther, good or bad. And it's being able to identify people through the network as well as qualify, so that when we give a candidate to someone, what we want to say to them is 4 things. 1, they're capable. 2, they're recruitable. 3, what are the issues of recruitability if they're moving, buyouts, children in school, spousal careers, whatever. And then the fourth thing is fit. And having
Right.
this network really helps determine getting the fit, to get that culture
It's
right.
valuable for you to be able to get, the opinion of others who've worked with them or know them in the industry because you've known them in the industry for so long.
Right. And my background is Shell. One of my partners is ex-Hamilton, started his career up here in Denver, then was the head of global human resources for BHP. Another partner of mine grew up in the oil field equipment and services area. So what we are, people out of industry, we understand the culture, we understand what's going on, and we come to conferences like this at Entercom because here we find out what companies are doing what, and also for our part of the business, who is making it happen.
Right, and you wouldn't have stayed in business for 35 years if you guys weren't making it happen. I mean, that doesn't happen. You don't stay in business that long if you're not good at what you do.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, one last question. With the downturn, you were saying that it's an interesting climate. Who are the candidates who stand out? Who are the people that you go, even in a downturn, that guy or that gal is valuable and they're going to get a job?
Well, you have to look for the nuggets. And the other thing you have to do, if you look back at the demographics in the industry, that after the downturn in 85, 6, and 7, what was coming out of the, let's say, out of the universities. And one quick statistic, if you look at 80 to 84, the University of Texas undergraduate petroleum engineers varied between 110 to 125. Yet, in 89, 90, and 91, the average graduate class at UT was 9. So the amount of product that was out there, and another quick statistic, in 2008, the total number of undergraduate petroleum engineers in all 17 universities in the US was 600.
Wow.
And that was all. So who are these people? Where are they? And what we try to do is to track them so that when a client says, I need one of these to do, someone like this to do that, to be able to know who they are and get to them very quickly.
Well, excellent. I enjoyed our interview. It's
Good.
Fascinating.
Angie, thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll stay seated. We're going to wrap this up, David.
All right.
All right, David Preng, President, Preng and Associates. A very interesting interview. Another arm of the oil and gas industry. I'm Angie Austin with Oil and Gas 360 here at the 2015 Entercom Oil and Gas Conference in Denver.